This is tutorial 2-2 in GIS tutorial workbook 3. In this tutorial, we're going to be adding complex geodatabase components. We're going to once again be working in ARC catalog, and we're going to be using the Esri supplied geodatabase form. So you're going to need to go to your Esri folder. And I'm going to use tutorial 1-2 geodatabase design. I'm going to make it big enough so I can see it. And this tutorial has two motives. The first is to reinforce what we learned in the previous tutorial by having us repeat the process over again, and also by showing us a few little tricks to make it easier and quicker in the future. So in your tree catalog, you're going to want to navigate down to your My Answers folder in your GIS tutorial 3 folder, and you're going to want to create a new file geodatabase. And we're going to call this utility data. And we're going to add a dataset name. So you want to go to New, Feature Dataset. And it's going to be wastewater. Now the book tells you to import a coordinate system. It might be because I have 10.1 that this feature is gone. So I can only do it by choosing it. So I went to projected coordinates, state plane, NAD 1983 US feet, and I went down to Texas, North Central, and that's the one I wanted. Make sure it was highlighted, and then next. And these two we don't really need, so we're just going to leave those as is. Now that we have our data set, we're going to add feature classes to it. The first one we're going to do is our sewer lines. And just like the last tutorial, make sure it's a line feature. This stays default, and then we add our fields. Make sure your pipe size is null, not allowing null values. And your built is long integer, and we are allowing null values just because sometimes you don't know when a sewer line was originally built. And I don't know why they just don't use owner as the field name as well. It just seems weird to me, but it's their tutorial. And as you can see, one of these has a domain, but we haven't created one yet, so we can't assign it. So we'll come back and do that later. None of them have default values, so we're just going to click Finish. And it's been created. And we're just going to move on, and we're going to do our next one. But this one will go a lot quicker. And the reason it's going to go quicker is because we can import these fields, field types, and aliases, and null values from our sewer lines, because they're pretty much the same except for material has changed from a short integer to a text. So all we have to do is go to import, choose sewer lines, and add. And as you can see, everything's been added. We just changed this to text. Everything else is the same. There are no default values we have to add. So we just click finish. And we're going to do our next feature, which is sewer fixtures. And these are points. Now this is the first one we come to that has a default value, so that just goes in here, and that's 2010. And then we just do description. And this one also has a default. So we're just going to finish that. And what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be doing interceptor fixtures. And we're going to do just like we did with the lines. And these are also points. Now we're just going to import these from our sewer fixtures. But as you can see, we have more than we need. There is no fixed type and there's no description for these. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the little gray box and you're going to hit delete on your keyboard. And you're going to do the same thing for description. Now everything's the same. You can go through and make sure all the defaults are set correctly and that all the nulls are set correctly. And when done, you just click finish. Now with all that done, we can go in and we can create our domains and then assign those to the proper ones. We only have one domain to do, and then we have two subtypes. The only domain is for pipe size, so we're going to right click on our database, go to properties, and in domains tab, we're going to type in our sewer pipe size. We're going to change it to a short integer. And right now the domain type is set to range. We're going to change that to coded value. And then we're going to put our values in. which are 6, 8, 10, and 12. Then we're just going to put 6 inches, 8 inches, 10 inches, and 12 inches. We click apply, and then OK. Our domain is created. Now we can go in and set it. So we're going to go back to our table and see that it's set to pipe size and sewer lines. So we're going to open up our tree here, right click on sewer lines and go into properties. We're going to go to the fields, and we're going to click on pipe size. Domains are now available. We click the only one available. Click apply and then OK. With that done, we can move on to our creating subtypes. And we're going to do the easy one first. So we're going to go to sewer fixtures. We're going to open up the properties for that. And we're going to go to subtypes. And over here, we're going to turn on our subtypes. And we're working on this one down here. As you can see, there's only 2, and they're pretty basic. Nothing new that we've really been working with. So up here in subfield type, we're going to choose fixed type. And we're going to enter our codes. 1 is for manhole. 2 is for cleanout. That done, you just click apply and OK. Just like we did in the previous tutorial. Now comes the newer one, where it gets a little bit more complicated. So we're going to sewer lines, and we're going to open up properties. We're going to go to subtypes. We're going to go to material. And here we're going to put 1. And we're going to do P, B, C. But as you can see, for field, we have a domain. And that's already made. But we have a default value as well, which is 8. Year built, we have a default, which is 2010. And we have a default for owner, which is Olander. And you're going to do that with all of the rest. This becomes 10, 2010, and Olander. Now, 4 and 5 don't have any, so those we just keep like we did before, where it's just 4 and concrete. We leave everything else alone on the bottom. We do 5, and we do clay. We click apply, and OK. Now, with this done, we're all set. We're not going to do the intercept ones. So what we're going to do is we're going to close this now, and we're going to open up ArcMap. And they want us to open up tutorial 2-2, which is kind of pointless because it doesn't open up anything. And now they want us to go to add data. They want us to go to our utility data geodatabase, click on wastewater, and add. As you can see, when we add it, all the things we set subtypes for now have that automatically set for its symbology, which could be very helpful. But if you don't want it that way, you can always go in and change it yourself. So always keep that in mind. Now we're going to do what we did in the last tutorial and test and see how this stuff works. Get your editor out. If you don't have it out, go to Customize, Toolbars, Editor. We want to start editing. And we're going to click on Create Features. They want us to start with PVC. So I'm going to click on this guy here, and I'm going to create a line. Okay, we're going to, oh yes, for this we have to go to Bookmarks, Starting Extent. Okay. And now with that still selected, I'm going to hit the attribute. And as you can see, it filled in everything already. So I don't even have to go into the attribute table and write anything. And they want us to go in and they want us to do it with everything else. So we're going to go in, click on clay. Okay, we made one for clay. Do one for DI, one for concrete. And then one for HDPE. And we'll do a few cleanouts and a few manhole covers. Now we're going to use the attribute thing, and we're going to see what these came into. As you can see, this one's selected, year built, owner already filled in, fixture type is put in. For this, same thing. Now this is concrete. We don't have an owner, and year built should not be there. We're going to go into ARC catalog real quick and see why that's there. There should be no default for concrete, and it's not set here. And it's not set here, so I don't know why that's popping up like that. But you could easily go in and change that. Let's see if it's doing that for the other ones. DI, it's supposed to be doing it that way. I think this is the clay. Yeah, near built is the same way. So that shouldn't be happening. I don't know why it is. But everything else is working fine. It's just that one. And I'm not sure why that's happening. If I do find out, I'll put a comment on the video or put it in the description of the video. With that done, that concludes this tutorial. So X out of ArcMap without saving your edits or your map.